I am the stone that the builder refused. I am the visual, the inspiration that made ladies sing the blues. I'm the spark that makes your idea bright. The same spark that lights the dark so that you can know your left from your right. I am the ballad in your box, the bullet in the gun, the inner glow that let you know to call your brother son. The story that just begun, the promise of what's to come. And I'ma remain a soldier till the war is won. Chop, chop, chop. You gon' flip. Chop, chop, chop. You gon' flip. Chop, chop, chop. You gon' flip. Chop, chop, chop.
Welcome to the Immaculate Negro, episode 3. And so, since all the introductions and formalities and explanations are out the way, I just want to dive right into this episode. So for the topic today, we're going to be discussing the motherland, or Africa, the place where everybody is really from. It's not really up for debate. You can do your Googles on it and you'll learn the truth as well. So the thing about that is, I guess at the onset of humanity, we all came from Africa and then we spread out, and through migration and things like that, we settled in different places and climate zones. And so then the history of the world unfolded, and now we have a human race that is separate throughout the world, and we almost look at ourselves as being different from each other because the climate zones that we have grown up in throughout history has almost divided us by culture, if that makes any sense. So now we don't even really look at each other as one species. We look at each other as humans, and we're all kind of a part of this race, but we're different. It's really a weird dynamic that humans have in their mind, because we're all the human race, but race divides us at the same time. So that really doesn't make any sense. I guess we all should really think about that more and think about how we're more alike than we are different. And there's so many more similarities and commonalities and differences between all of us. So that's just some food for thought. And so as it relates to Africa directly, I was born in Africa in 1995. So I guess I haven't really been on this planet a long time, but I really tried to learn a lot about my history, my culture, and a lot of things like that relate to the history of Africa. And that goes for my family and my friends as well. A lot of us are born in Africa, and you move around or whatever happens and you just kind of live your life, but we try not to lose our ties to the motherland. We try not to lose our affection for it. We try not to lose our love for it. And that's really because the current state of Africa is extremely disheartening and it's upsetting. Africa has been raped and pillaged throughout all of history, ever since the age of colonization and imperialism, the age of conquest, where everybody wanted to do well for their particular state or country, even if it meant risking other people's states or countries or continents or livelihood. The age of imperialism was an extremely selfish age of conquest. Everybody wanted to map out the entire world before the next man, find new lands and find new resources before the next man. And then when they got to those lands, what they did was usually extremely inhumane and selfish. And it's unfortunate that Africa was on the opposite end of a lot of those ventures and voyages and expeditions. And we all already know a lot of the history as it relates to Black people and slavery and all of the awful acts that have been imposed upon us Africans. And luckily enough, I'm born in this age, in this time where I didn't personally have to experience too many hardships, but the hardships of my ancestors and my people really resonate with me, and it really breaks my heart to know that that's what they experienced, and they were very helpless in their experience. There was nothing that they could do to save themselves from such torture, such an awful life, because some people would be born into slavery, into subservience, And that's exactly how they would die. They would die as slaves or as servants or as second-class people or people who really didn't have a lot of rights, a lot of freedoms, a lot of opportunities to really enjoy their existence. And so the history to look at is extremely sad and disheartening, but that's the reality of life. And I guess it's calming to think that it's improved or we've come so far or it's got so much better, but it really hasn't. And that's the sad part. It really hasn't. So I do want to take this time to give a shout out to all the Nigerians out there. That is where I was born, specifically in Africa. I was born in Lagos, Nigeria. So I have been purposefully specifying Africa as a whole when I speak, because I don't want us, the people who are from Africa, to get caught up in our own particular countries and states and communities and things like that. We should have a larger sense of community when we speak of the African people. Like, I don't want to always have to differentiate with, oh, he's Nigerian or he's Ghanaian or he's from Ethiopia or he's Eritrean or from Cameroon. Like, at the end of the day, we're all African, and I think there's a sense of unity there that has been lost upon us. Maybe not so much when you leave Africa, but in Africa, there's not a heavy sense of cooperation and love for your fellow African person. So we should definitely get back to that. And that kind of brings me to the main topic I want to address, and that's the current state of Africa. Because Africa has been so abused throughout history, we've kind of lost our sense of self. And now what we're left with is a continent and a people that have taken up the image of our oppressors. And we've taken up the characteristics and behavior of those who have colonized us. And the way I like to put it, it may be a bit too harsh, but we have become caricatures of those that have really exploited us. And through that, we've begun to exploit ourselves. We've begun to take ourselves for granted. We become so distorted and discombobulated and unorganized, and we've lost our sense of common good for all African people. We've become so broken into our sex. We've become so greedy and corrupt and just careless and almost lawless in so many places. And I don't believe that is a true heart of African people. I don't believe that is our true nature, to be so corrupt and so evil and so wicked to one another. But yet that's exactly what we have running rampant in the continent. And it's unfortunate because when you talk to other Africans, and I guess I should specify older Africans who've grown up in Africa, or like I guess my parents, for example, who lived a longer time in Africa than I have, and seen a lot more awful things than I have, and experienced so much more than I have. When you talk to them about saving Africa or like rehabilitating Africa or like bring it back to what it should be, it's almost a foregone conclusion that it's impossible. It's almost, their attitude towards it is like, no, it's never gonna change. No, the way it is now, it's just the way it's gonna be. The people in power don't wanna solve any problems. Everybody just wants to hoard money and be rich and be well off for themselves and be taken care of and not worry about the next person, not do right for the economy, not do right for the people, not do right for anybody. Everybody just wants to look out for themselves, and that just seems so awful to me. Like, as a people, we've been convinced and we believe that we can never change the motherland. We can never bring the homeland back to where it should be. We can never save our people. And I don't know if that speaks to a deeper problem or if that's just how far we've gone, that we don't have any hope left. Like, all the hope we had is slowly just dwindled and withered away, and to the point where you can't worry about your fellow African person. You can only worry about yourself. And it really sucks to think about, because I suppose this is a problem with many second and third world countries, with the quotations, right? Because we are born in these places and we just have the ambitions to leave. You want to get your education, you want to get your wealth, you want to do all these things, but you don't want to do it in the place of your birth. You want to move somewhere else and do it there. You want to move to first world countries. You want to move to countries in the West where the standard of living is a bit more secured. It's the opportunity to live a much safer life. It's the opportunity to achieve more without the risks and the dangers that are present in second and third world countries. And it really begs the question that why are these places not safe? Why are the economies not stable? Why can't I be born here, grow up here, live here, and prosper here? Why is my homeland not good? Why is it not secure? Why do I feel unsafe here? And why do I want to move somewhere else to live my life and not the country of my birth? And so I'm gonna, I guess, share a little story with you guys just to kind of talk about my experience more and kind of give you some more clarity. Because I feel as though my parents really tried to have a life in Africa like a lot of Africans do. You don't just wake up and decide, all right, I don't want to live here anymore. All right, fuck this place. All right, forget the motherland. Like a lot of Africans really do attempt to provide themselves a quality of living in the motherland for them and their family and just to have a livelihood. A lot of them do succeed, but a lot of people don't. And in the particular case of me and my family, I think we were doing fairly well. I'm not 100% sure if my mom always had plans to move to the West, but I think it was something she always considered a strong possibility, just in terms of standard of living. Like, even when I was a baby, like this is what they wanted. So it's crazy to me once again that there was never any long-term plan to live life in Nigeria. And I could be wrong. My mom could see this and then come at me, tell me what really was good, but I guess I'll wait for that. But there was such a traumatizing event in my childhood that kind of made me understand it all in one foul swoop. So I actually never forget this. It's like I was so traumatized, but I feel like a lot of children go through such traumatizing events. But anyway, I'm not gonna start comparing. But me particularly, I was at the dinner table. This was way back in Nigeria. I was at the dinner table, and maybe I was around like 3 or 4. It was like I remember like vaguely what happened. Like I have flashes of the memory of the whole event. So it's pretty crazy. So. And this is a very common occurrence, by the way. If you talk to other African people about what I'm about to say, they might have an experience similar to this. And that says a lot in itself. But anyway, so I was chilling at the dinner table when I was young. I was really young. And I remember when I was eating, I swear I was eating noodles. Like, I was crushing those noodles. I love them. And my mom wasn't home at the time. She was on a trip to the States, and so it was just me, my older brother, my father, and I think we had like a house girl. If you're African, you know what that is. You got a little house girl. Everybody had one. And so we're eating dinner, and then suddenly our front door got kicked down, and from there it was a bunch of masked men that ran into our house, and they had assault rifles, and it was so crazy. And like at that point, like I literally remember up to that point, and then I swear I blacked out, man. Like I swear I blacked out. And just because I think I started crying and like making noise, doing that shit that kids do when they're fucking scared, because I was scared as hell. So what ended up happening was these robbers, obviously they broke into my house, after the money or whatever we had that's worth value. And so they put me and my brother, they put us in the closet, and I'm over here just screaming and crying, put us in the closet, locked us in that bitch. And then they went upstairs with my father, and like he was giving them what they wanted, obviously, because you don't want to sacrifice your family and yourself for some materials, because that's pointless. So he's giving them what they wanted, and they ended up shooting him anyways. And I don't know if, like, I'm not a robber, I'm not a thief. I don't know if that's part of the hustle. You shoot them after they give you what you want, but whatever. So they shot my father in the head. And I know it sounds crazy, right? But luckily it wasn't a good shot. So the bullet kind of grazed the top of his head. And so it was like, I guess, an inch or two away from killing him. Luckily, it didn't. It just kind of left a wound, and like, yeah, he was hurt a bit, but no long-term ramifications or side effects, luckily. So, you know, we all made it through that unscathed. But man, oh man, was I traumatized. Like, and this is something I had to deal with myself. From being locked in that closet as a child, this is, my older brother actually told me that that's what happened years ago. I didn't remember that part for myself. He's the one who was like, yeah, man, this is what happened. Like, obviously you were crying and they put us in the closet. And I was like, what the hell? I was put in the closet? I had no idea. And so, yeah, I was put in the closet, but that really left me with some trauma that I didn't really know I had. And obviously, you just think it's like childhood fear, just like you just a little punk when you're a kid. Because after that, I was growing up, living my life, and I had an extreme fear of being in a closed room, like regardless of like the size of the room. Well, I guess a closed room by myself. I couldn't really be in places by myself. So I really thought that was just typical childlike fear, but it really wasn't. I was fully traumatized from this event that occurred to me, that happened to me as a child. So I had to get over that, but whatever. It was, you just conquer that as a fear because that's what you think it is. So obviously I got over it, but then when my brother told me, I was like, so that's why I was so goddamn scared. Because while I was scared, I remember thinking this fear is so illogical. I can't even explain to myself why I'm scared of being by myself in my own house in some room. Like, it literally made no sense, but I had a crippling fear of it. I couldn't do it. The door always had to be open. I couldn't be in spaces by myself. It was really crazy, honestly, like thinking about it in hindsight, but that's what trauma does to you, I suppose, right? You don't even realize how you've been traumatized or how trauma affects your life, but that's some trauma that affected me, all from this incident that happened where I could have lost my life, my father could have lost his life, my brother could have lost his life, and that would have been that, and I wouldn't be here today. Luckily, that's not what happened, right? But after we survived that encounter, my mom came back, and obviously that was the breaking point. That was the let's get the fuck out of here point. That was the, okay, you know, shout out to Africa, shout out to Nigeria, shout out to the motherland. I love you, you've been great, but I gotta go. I can't live here knowing my family's life is constantly in danger, just casually. Like, that's just casual danger. It's not like we were special. It's not like we were politicians. It's not like we had some exuberant amount of money or wealth or any lavishness. Like, we were just regular people living life, and those are the type of things you're privy to. Those are the type of things that are at risk of happening while you're just existing in the motherland. And so that kind of says it all about like the condition. And yeah, I know things like that happen everywhere, but it's a bit more rampant and careless back in the motherland. And there's really no sense of justice because people get kidnapped all the time. People get kidnapped and held for ransom all the time. Like, people get killed for no reason all the time. Like, the amount of political and economic strife has really like reached the common people. Like, we all behave in such a manner that it's almost barbaric. It's absolute. It's just so crazy. And it's a direct reflection of the state of the continent. So that's a problem in and of itself. And I don't want to sit here and make it seem like it's all bad. Like, Africa is honestly an amazing, beautiful place. Like, you will go there and you will still find a lot of people who really display what it is to be a true African, I guess in my opinion anyway. I don't want to have a crazy blanket statement like that, but just you'll still find a lot of great people that are there. My grandparents lived their whole lives there, and they're one of the best people I could ever imagine knowing. I still have a lot of relatives living there and trying to prosper there, and like a lot of crazy things do happen to them, but they don't give up on Africa. They don't give up on their fellow people. They don't give up on this situation, so much so that they want to leave. So I'll say it's about 50-50. Like, I'm sure there might be a more exact breakdown, but I'll say 50-50. 50% of people, they grow up there, they stay there, they live their whole lives there, regardless of what's happening. And maybe it's a lack of opportunity to leave. Maybe they would leave, they got the chance, but the chance it doesn't seem possible in their mind. So why would they bother with that when they can just focus on making the best of their situation? And then you have the other 50% that just grow up like thinking like, no, I can't do this. I can't live here when there's better places to live. Like, yes, this is my home, but why would I put myself through this? Why would I endure this when I can move somewhere else and supposedly have better for myself and my family? And I don't know, it's just tough to think about, because once again, this is the motherland, land of my birth, place I love, place I want to uplift and exalt, but I can't, because the way the motherland is and the way people behave there, it makes it so hard to root for them sometimes. It makes it so hard to believe in them sometimes, because you can really go to Africa with good intentions, with goodwill, with just plans to make it better, and either they'll kidnap you, either they'll kill you, or either they'll take advantage of you to enrich themselves. And these are the three most likely options of things to occur if you're just in Africa trying to help. You're not even you're not even trying to take over. You're not trying to, once again, not trying to be a politician, because those are the politicians, unfortunately. That's something that's everywhere. Politicians are extremely corrupt. More so, I would say, in Africa, just because there is the ability to be more corrupt without anybody checking you, without facing the consequences, without you having to really own up to your actions or face anybody. You can just hoard the money. Some of them eventually get caught, but most of them don't. So that's the situation with that. And so to this day, a lot of African people, like people who have grown up in Africa, they send their kids to school off somewhere. And that's my generation. We get sent off places to go to school. We go to school abroad, or our whole family just moves all around and we end up abroad. And a lot of the kids who go to school abroad have no intentions of coming back and building a life in Africa. Like, we learn so much, we go overseas, we encounter so much, we experience so much, but we have no plan to use all our skills and our resources and everything we've learned to build up Africa. There's never, I don't want to say never, because I'm sure people do have it, but it's few and far between. The ambition to resuscitate or rescue Africa using the skills we've learned in our lifetime from countries in the West is seldomly found. Most people don't want to go back and pull another African out, or want to go back and invest in their village that, you know, maybe needs power or needs like a plumbing system or needs like fresh water. It's tough to really go back and try to do all these things. And not only is it tough from, I guess, an economic and financial point, but from an African societal point. Like, how are they going to look at you? How are they going to receive you? How are you going to be treated while you're just trying to help? All these things factor into people's decision to just leave Africa alone entirely. People just get themselves out of there and they do not turn back, because if you turn back, they believe it will drag you down. And that is a problem. That is an extreme problem. And I'm not coming from a place where I don't understand the notion and the mentality, but I want Africa to be a better place. I want to I want the future generation to be born there, to be happy they live there, and to be happy to exist there. But it's never gonna be that if we don't make it that. It's not gonna just magically transform itself into a utopia of some sorts, or even a more livable and enjoyable and viable, sought after place, unless we actively change it. And so once again, that's we right now in this generation. We can't really expect the older generation or the next generation to do it. It has to be something that we put into motion, that we start off. So as a conclusion, because I could honestly go on and I could ramble and talk about Africa for hours. Like, the motherland has my heart, it's my home. Like, I'll forever cherish Africa and Nigeria and just my family. I'll forever love it all to the death of me, which is why I'm extremely passionate and I'm extremely willing to attempt to fix it. Even if it's to no avail, I think the attempt, the effort, and the cooperation of all of us is how we even begin to make a dent. So I would just like to tell every African out there, every black person, because honestly, if you're black, you're African some way, somehow. So don't think, and yeah, more so than everybody who's from Africa. If you're black, you are truly African. Like, whether you think you're from the Caribbean or wherever you think you're from, like, you are African. Don't deny that. That's just what you are. From your ancestors and your DNA, it's literally in you. So try to, maybe try to care more, try to have a plan to do more, to fix it, because if we can somehow, some way fix Africa, it'll become a place where black people will be safe, will be happy, will be able to live life freely. It'll be a place to exist without somebody questioning your existence. And that is really what we need to achieve. And we're not going to achieve that by running away from Africa and running away from the problem. So I just implore all Africans to just want to do better for Africa. We need to want to fix Africa. And it seems like it's impossible. It seems like maybe it's going to take too long. It seems like it's a far off dream or ambition or destination, but I firmly believe it's still worth the effort. It's still worth the sacrifice. It's still worth it, because we do have the skills to do it. We do have the resource to do it. It is possible. Whether it's a 1% chance, 2%, 10%, the fact that it's possible should be enough to make you want to try. So let's try. Regardless of how long it takes, regardless of whether you live to see the fruits of your labor, that's really not what it's about. It's about your participation in our journey to reach this destination. Whether you reach it, whether your kids reach it, whether your kids reach it, you can live your life knowing you've done your part to further this goal. And this goal is not a selfish one, it's a selfless one. It's a goal that benefits the majority more than the singular person. So it's a goal that's worth striving for, in my opinion anyways. I believe it's a goal worth striving for. So just think about it. Thank you for listening, and God bless.